Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we'll be doing another installment of the weekly meta breakdown where we look at the top performing decks on the MTG Arena ladder. This particular video is for the Explorer Best of 1 format. If you're looking for Standard, Historic, Best of 1, Best of 3, all the videos are in the playlist, so you can check out each week, see kind of the trends, what's the new hotness, the continued best deck. We kind of feature all that, talk about what's kind of the ebbs and flows in the changing meta and the best kind of decks to play to kind of rank up into Mythic. So we are looking at Explorer Best of 1 this week. We get the data from Untapped GG. This is how we're telling you what is the best deck in the format. We're not just saying, oh, it's this deck. We have actual numbers to back it up. Untapped GG, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a companion tool that runs alongside your Arena client, tracks your win rates, loss rates, deck collection syncing, tells you what decks you can build, has a whole bunch of useful in-game overlays. So the link is in the video description if you want to get started with Untapped. Free to use a bunch of the functionality. Click the link. It runs alongside your Arena game. It is super useful. Use it a bunch offline, even before streaming I was using it. And it is very helpful of a tool. I do ask before we jump into this, if you do enjoy these meta videos, greatly appreciate it if you can drop a like, comment, and if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. All are free ways to help out the channel. Lets YouTube know that folks enjoy this type of meta content. So in any case, we will jump in. We are looking at May 30th to June 6th, Platinum to Mythic rank, and we are looking at 37,000 games of Magic the Gathering being played. This is the Explorer Best of 1 format. So we'll jump into it, and the top placing deck of the week is Bant Angels. So Bant, blue, white, green, and really it is a mono white Angels deck that's playing blue for Glasspool Mimic, which basically just gives you extra copies of your Angels, and then green for Collected Company. There is just a green-white version of the deck as well. There's a full video on my channel. I'll link it there if you want to see. We took it through a Explorer Challenge run as well with it. And with this deck here, what you're trying to do is get a couple key cards out to gain you a bunch of life and then kind of explode on the board with various Angels. You have Giada Font of Hope that makes each subsequent Angel come into the battlefield with additional 1/1 counters on it. This gets you very large Angels. Also gives you some ramp as well. You have Bishop of Wings that gains you 4 life every time an Angel comes to the battlefield, and then your Angels dying leave you 1/1 spirits. You have Righteous Valkyrie that if you're at 27 or more life, you get an Anthem effect. It also gains you life equal to the toughness of Clerics or Angels on your squad when they enter the battlefield. So some combination of gaining 5 life a turn with Resplendent Angel gets you extra Angels each turn, 4/4 flying Vigilance Angels, so a whole bunch of kind of good synergies there. You have Collected Company that can find you key pieces at any given time, Skyclave for removal, Youthful Valkyrie gets larger, Speaker can make you Angels every turn when you're at 27 or more life. The big thing with this deck is you want to be at 27 life to kind of activate all your cheat code kind of Angels. Notably, when Glasspool Mimic enters the battlefield, if you have nothing else on the board and you Coco into Glasspool and say Righteous Valkyrie, because they enter at the same time, there's nothing for it to copy, so it just fizzles. So you keep that in mind if you are kind of playing this out. So yeah, that's Bant Angels. The next deck is Mono Blue Spirits, and this is a good demonstration like I was mentioning with the deck collection. If I want to build this deck, I'm missing 4 Rattlechains, 4 Supreme Phantoms, missing 8 rare wild cards. I can hover here, I can see my collection. Okay, I have 29 rare wild cards. I can spend 8 and build this deck. So it's helpful in that regard. But this Spirits deck is kind of a tempo-ish deck. You want to drop something like Ascendant Spirit, Spectral Sailor, strap it up with Curious Obsession, and then kind of protect it or pump mana into your Ascendant Spirit to make it larger and have more relevant abilities. Obsession draws you cards. You can protect it with like Dive Down, Spell Pierce, Rattlechain. Rattlechain also gives you other spirits flash. You have Supreme Phantom as a Lord. Shacklegeist can tap things down. Borrower, Honorary Spirit. It's a spirit at heart. Fairy Rogue. Bouncing stuff. You have the Cemetery Illuminator for card advantage as well as Graveyard Hate, a way to kind of hit at those Greasefang decks. And then you have Geist Snare, which can be as little as 1 mana, mana leak style effect. You're also using, these are honorary spirits as well. Faceless Haven, every creature type plays very well, gets the buff, gets the kind of protection potentially as well, and then 1 Otawara in the deck. Up next, so Mono Red aggro. So this month I got Mythic in 3 days. I'm 49 Mythic when I came in. I got Platinum to Diamond with Mono Red and Explorer, and then I played Alchemy Esper to get to Mythic. So I'm going to show you what Untapped has, and then I'm going to show you my version of the deck, which I play a lot of Mono Red across Historic and Explorer. I don't think this version is very good against the Griswing deck, and it's very weak against the Angel deck, which we're seeing as one of the more popular ones. So this particular version here is an Anax. It's looking to kind of take advantage of Anax and use Cleave. So you have some cheaper creatures, something like Foundry, Denizen, Kumano, stuff like that. This version's on Chain Whirler as well. Notably, I don't think Chain Whirler is like super well situated in the format right now. While it does play nicely with Torbrand, like the Spirit deck has a lot of bigger bodies. Like while it can hit the turn with an Ascendant Spirit or a Spectral Sailor, they can often get out of range. It's not terrible against this blue deck, but they also have ways to kind of counter this. A lot of the decks are X2, X3 creatures in terms of toughness. It's not very good against Angels. You need Ferocidon as a way to deal with the Angels deck. In the Mardu Vehicles matchup, like the Mardu Griswing or Esper Griswing, it's really only Stitcher Supplier, which they already want to die. You're better off playing like some other creatures. This particular version, the only way they can actually hit a Griswing is having exactly Fanatical Firebrand and one of 2 Bone Crusher Giants, which in itself seems kind of low. Anax is a little bit better in the Mono Red Mirrors as well as Chain Whirler, but outside of that, I like my version a little bit better, and I'm going to jump to that, bias in hand. So I am 70% win rate with it, 26 and 11. I had a few people on Twitter play it as well. They had some fairly high success, very similar win rates. And we're kind of playing it in a different manner. So we have Fervent Champion over Fanatical Firebrand. So again, kind of to the same point with the Goblin Chain Whirler, there's not many X1s you want to ping off in this format. When Winota was around, I do agree having the Fervent Champion or the Fanatical Firebrand was better because you need to hit turn 1 Llanowar Elf to slow them down. Fervent Champion attacks better into the X1s because it doesn't get traded in terms of combat. 2 of them also gets a better bonus. Plus my version here is playing a bit more burn in it, so it allows you to scale up and have your 1/1 with First Strike kind of kill the bigger creatures. My notable difference is I'm playing 4 Lightning Strike as an answer to Griswing. It's also flexible in other matchups as well, as if we look at the Bant Angels list, it can hit basically all their creatures except Righteous Valkyrie and Bishop of Wings, but you can kind of trade up with it as well. So it helps with that matchup. Notably as well, we have Rampaging Ferocidon, which is it pretty much wins the Angels or life gain matchups. They can't gain life, they can't get any of their synergies, and their stuff's kind of underpowered otherwise. The kind of flex spots in my deck, so most of these decks are running 3/3. I don't like 3 Torbrands because they're kind of a dead card if you don't have an existing board state, similar with Embercleave. What I'm trying, like I was playing Chandra for a bit. Chandra 4, Hazard's been kind of the perfect addition to this card. You're often hellbent in this deck. You're not drawing a lot of cards. So it's just a big indestructible body, can discard cards to get that extra damage in. It's a great thing to put Embercleave on, 12 damage on itself. It can block bigger creatures, stuff like that. So really effective threat. And then the last card, I'm not 100% sold on it, but I wanted one more piece of cheap interaction. Play with Fire was that. And notably, you can see all my removal in this deck can also go face. So in a matchup like a control matchup, stuff like that, you just have 14 points of burn that can also go face in terms of that. Again, the burn plays really nice with Fervent Champion. So this is kind of my deck of choice. We can see all my win rates. You can see all the variations I've played. I was on a licensed Hearst version. If you want to see this deck in action, I have a full video on it. I'll link that in the video description as well. Like I said, I'm very much a fan of Mono Red. Like even in Historic, I've played a lot of Mono Red. This is just for the last like season or so. I probably have like 400 or 500 games of Mono Red under my belt. Played it heavily in Standard as well when it was a predominant deck. So a lot of these decks I'll talk. I play like a dozen or so games, but Mono Red, trust me on that one. So yeah, and like you can see here with the Untapped profile, you can see all your win rates, loss rates, everything like that. So then we have Boros Feather, 59% win rate. So this is a deck that's really kind of got a boost with Illuminator Virtuoso. Double striker that you can give like trample with, protection, a lot of ways to give trample as well. Clever Luminancer mixed in here with 10th Street District and Dreadhorde. Feather lets you rebuy stuff. You got a lot of protection spells in this deck in terms of Fight as One and God's Willing. Reckless Rage is basically just a 1 mana kill whatever. So this is a deck that's reliant on your creatures, but you can kind of just, oops, I did 20 damage to your opponent really quickly. So kind of a cool deck to play out with that. The one thing, and I said this last week as well, this mana base is terrible. Don't play Snarls, fix it up, play your full 4 Needle Verge Passage, your 4 Inspiring Vantage. There's no reason to play Snarl, there's better lines in this format. Play a Den of the Bugbear in here as well, and kind of go from there. But next up we have Mardu Griswing. But for those of you who are familiar, what you want to do with this deck is self-mill yourself, kind of throw things into the graveyard with either blood tokens, Stitcher Supplier, stuff like that. Griswing can reanimate a vehicle, the vehicle of choice being Parhelion. As early as turn 3, you get to attack for 13 damage. That leaves 2 4/4 Flying Vigilant Angels. So it's not a kill them right that turn, but pretty much once Parhelion comes out, the game's over. So this deck here is kind of the gatekeeper of the format. You need to be able to beat this deck in addition to your other decks. So this is why you see with my deck, I'm very much concerned with dealing with the Griswing itself. So a way to kind of deal with that. You have Karaxa for graveyard value. Skyship is just kind of a backup vehicle. Soaring reanimates your stuff as well. And yeah, that's kind of that. And then lastly, we have Mono Green. They're calling it Devotion. It's Mono Green Stompy. So it's just really efficient creatures. You're ramp into like all these big 3-drops. A lot of like 4 or 5 power 3-drops. Coco into just big value. Card advantage with like Pack Leader, Henge, stuff like that. And then you have like big mana sinks in terms of Primal Might. Ronus for like pump damage as well in the deck. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, you can see my profile. I'm going to start sharing this every week for folks who want to see. I'm very much a proponent of let's back things up with data. Let's not just arbitrarily say something's a good deck, this thing's busted. Like if I'm claiming a deck has a certain win rate, it's because there's enough sample size to actually, mention that. We're playing some games, stuff like that. You can see what I play a lot with. If I'm playing 4 games with a deck, I'm not really going to say this deck's insane or not just because it draws, stuff like that. But when you're playing heavy, like I was playing a lot of the black-red Explorer deck when Winota was around, built the deck to deal with that. You can see everything here. So in any case, going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching, everyone. And if you can, drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll catch you next week.